Howdy, you delicious people! I'm here today to review The Wrecking Crew. I'm going to go on and take this review a lot more casually than other reviews, not just because of how I felt about this movie, just because I wanted to just have this one out there to just be, hey, I saw this, so let's talk about it, instead of me going on through every single detail and breaking everything down and just going into every single iota of every bit about this movie. I had gone on to see this last night and then kind of rewatched it kind of casually again today. So let's go into this. The Wrecking Crew is to, of course, first off, kind of be a clickbait thing that has Dave Batista and Jason Momoa. So it's like, ooh, two stars that we're probably going to want to check out this movie for. I would go in for this solely because Dave was in it. Because I had seen so many other films like Final Score, or I would see Bushwick, or I would see Heist, and I would thumbs up every one of those bad boys because I enjoyed them, regardless of how obscure they were. But for the Wrecking Crew specifically, I feel that this movie is to really be carried by Momoa. His comedy is so funny in this film, and Momoa throughout this entire movie is the guy to watch, that basically nothing else really matters, in all honesty. Um, Regardless of how they try to 50-50 book both Dave and both Momoa in this film, it just seems that Momoa is much more a guy to watch rather than Dave, sadly enough. So, because Momoa's character is just more interesting. So, now we have to go on and kind of break down this movie a little bit. So, we have this movie that I feel is just a lot of quotas that they have to fill. And this movie is much more so focused on the action, and they don't give a shit about the story. They really don't. We have a military guy and a cop guy. They're two different things. How are they going to go on and how are they going to meet? Well, we find out the two of them are brothers. Oh, okay. But they're estranged brothers. Oh, okay. So are they gonna fight? Are they gonna mix it up? Like, what's gonna be the final straw? And eventually that will happen in the film. Both of them will fight, because if we have to fill yet another action quota, it's to be kind of like how 48 Hours was, where you had the Nick Nolte and the Eddie Murphy character, where they're two different sides of a coin, and it's like the we ain't partners, we ain't friends kind of thing, but they have to work together. So we have these two characters, and the reason that brings them strangely together is a family member's death. And then by the end of the film, there's to be kind of another family's death thing that goes on to kind of wrap up this movie also. And then everything in between is just how many action things can they just do? Or how many action things could be copied and pasted from so many other action films that we've ever seen in our lives. There's like 30 different kind of things that just looks like, okay, like you're giving me like the helicopter and the van being chased by motorcyclists. I'm like, I've seen that I don't know how many times uh in so many action films. Let's run that again. uh we have the superior cop that's turning to the other two men and saying like, well, hey, Momoa, you're a suspended cop. You can't work on this case. Oh, Dave? Well, you're a military guy. You can't work on this case either. Well, I'm sure you guys are gonna adhere to everything that I'm telling you, because that wouldn't go on and be any different than any action film that we've ever seen in our lives, right? So we go on in this movie, and eventually, when the two of these characters meet at the funeral, and even that, like Jason Momoa's character is kind of lazily just taking his time to get there to the funeral, and we immediately see both Momoa and Dave fighting while in the funeral. Like, they aren't just going to take the time, just like, hey man, let's be quiet and just let this funeral go on. Oh, no, 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 no. They really just have to just keep talking and talking, and eventually the louder they get. So Momoa just comes off to find out that his wife has left him, and Dave has just come off on finding out that his father has died. Because Momoa just kind of doesn't really care about his father, because again, estranged. He Momoa much more so cared about his mother, and eventually by the end of the film, they find out who their mother's killer was. So, and this is kind of almost getting into spoilers here, so let's just kind of break down this movie a lot further and warn people of that. So, oh, we also have the one scene where Dave is just going on and teaching a number of guys how to just hold their breath underwater. Why does that need to be? It just exists. So it's just something different in the film. It's another way to just get Dave shirtless, basically. Even though he's a guy that just doesn't like to be shirtless, but he's shirtless in this film. So ironic. So, hey, he worked hard on that body. He might as well show it off in a film. That's really what we're doing. So he worked really hard, man. He looks so different than I'm used to seeing him in, but that's okay. Because at least he looks healthy. He's healthy for his height and what have you. So we push on here. So once after the funeral, Momoa goes on and immediately starts to get grabbed and beat up by a number of guys. We have these like yakuzas that go to Momoa's house and is ask him about an item that he was supposed to be given from his father, and then Momoa has to figure out a way to take these guys out. And then Momoa goes to this club and gets really drunk and then gets drugged, and then he's grabbed by these guys and carved a thing into his neck and say, hey, you have 7 days to live. So that basically says, hey, you need to solve this case in 7 days, and once you do, we will go on and kind of forget everything and say they're all back to copacetic again. And if anything, we'll even give you a consolation prize for you going on and solving your father's case by giving you the name of the killer of your mother, which will eventually just be thrown into a grill and burned, because feasibly there's not going to be a sequel to this movie, so that name really doesn't matter anyways. So we then have Dave and Momoa's character that are trying to solve this case. Dave goes on to try to go and find a camera that could have quite possibly recorded his father's death from when he was last to have been before he died. Because his father had gotten ran over by this van, and they thought it was an accident, but then they're like, well, maybe it was planned. So Momoa goes on and he tries to go on and figure out his father's case, and it brings him into finding this guy named Pika, who is to have been the guy from the movie Tarot, or from more popularly known from the newer Spider-Man Tom Holland movies. So, or Tom Holland, whoever the new Homecoming Spider-Man movies are, the Michael Keaton ones and whatever. So, those movies. So, Pika comes in and he's the sidekick to Jason Momoa's already sidekick, who is Dave Bautista. And really all this guy is just a guy who's given a phone and had to search Google, and he's given a laptop to decipher these bank accounts. He's just basically the same guy he was in the Spider-Man films. But if anything, he's to go on and at least say that he had worked prior with their father, and that's what gets him to work alongside with both Dave and both Moa in this piece. He's kind of like the Joe Pesci from Lethal Weapon. He's to have some kind of connection to this case, so they just have to tag him along throughout the rest of this movie. So it seems like they're just trying to do everything from Lethal Weapon all into one film. Is really kind of what they're doing in a very slow like pace. So we have Moa, who is to have gone on and to have had women's troubles in the beginning of this piece, and eventually also Dave will have his women trouble in the later part of the piece, as his wife will be gone, and he'll need to find her and get to her, as she is to have been kidnapped. Oh no! That isn't a thing that has always been in so many action films. You have to have the family member that gets kidnapped. Of course there has to be that. So we have at one point where Moa and Dave and Pika and Valentine are all in this van all together, and here's where the stuff pops off, and they have the helicopters and the motorcycles. For what reason, I don't know why, but they're all there. And so, if Moa had women's troubles in the beginning of the film, now this scene, while bullets are flying and things are exploding, and Momoa has said enough times to his wife that he thinks that she's beautiful, that eventually this is all to lead to Valentina and Momoa's character. Well, Valentina is actually the actress's character name. It leads the two of this couple to just kiss, and it's like, okay, but I'm sure that's basically to cement that Valentina and Momoa are just putting their shit on pause. Really, it's not going to cement that they're going to have this relationship work. I don't think that's going to be a thing. So, whatsoever past this film. So, Momoa and Dave's character make their way back to Dave's home, and that's where they find out that his wife and I believe maybe their sister or some other family member that has some kind of part to play here, is to eventually to have been taken. The reason for that is we find out that that family member who is not Dave's wife is to have gone on and brought these blueprints to the real bad guy of this film, and that's why she ends up getting kidnapped. Because let's pull back a little bit. So the also reason why Pika is in this film is because he was to have been told by both Dave and Momoa's father that they need to go to this catering job. And so all three of these men go into this party and they do the catering job. And the reason why they would go on to have done this is because this ends up getting revealed of who bad guy number 2 is, but not final boss. And the final boss isn't even the guy that does any real heavy lifting of action whatsoever in this entire film. He's just a guy that ends up getting revealed of like, oh, he's the guy behind it all. Oh, he's the money guy, I guess. He's not really the guy that's going to go on and get his hands dirty. Oh, no, not that guy. And then eventually, when they do reveal who it is, spoilers, it's the government Maho guy. It's the guy from Aquaman that was Jason Momoa's father. Same guy in that film is to be in this movie. So, and I thought that was just kind of lazy and just kind of dumb. Because they just needed some bad guy to arrest in the film because they killed all the other ones. So, and also, like, they come to find the reason why that Dave and Momoa's father had been killed was all about this casino and all these kind of underhand things that they should not go on and be doing, but they're trying to do it, but they never will. So, but in all honesty, though, like, I could say that the Wrecking Crew, when you really look at it, it does feel like a Rush Hour film. It feels like Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, and it feels like a Rush Hour film. Does the Wrecking Crew? So we make our way into the third act, and here's why I really say it feels like a Rush Hour film. Is normally in the third act of the Rush Hour film, we have like Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, they separate and they have to fight their own individual foes. Dave and Momoa went on to do that catering job, and Dave was just kind of cleaning some dishes alongside a guy who was snorting up some substances or some, let's just say, drugs. And eventually, this guy is going to go on and be the guy that Dave faces off against later and takes a sword or a weapon to the face. This guy is gonna be really just torn up. So it's like a sword staff. It's a very unusual weapon. But if anything, I think they really try to just do something somewhat different in this film than all the other things, even though nothing is really unique enough in this movie. So Dave faces off against that guy, and then Momoa goes on and faces off against the real bad guy, the guy who ends up being Marcus in this movie, who is the guy from Netflix's Dracula, where he was actually really good in that, and he's wasted here. So Momoa faces off against this Marcus guy, and in all honesty, the fight is just kind of weak. We have them kind of back and forthing of whether or not they should be grabbing for this gun or not, or if they should be fighting. Like, we have the bad guy that lingers like way too long with the gun. He's like, well, hey, I have the gun now. Like, now I'm gonna be able to kill you now, but I'm just not going to do it right now. I'm just gonna keep talking and talking and hope that you'll figure out some strategic way to beat me, because the good guy has to win. So, spoilers. Good guy does win. Good guy brings in explosive that he had, of course, seen prior within catering job. And you would think that Jason Momoa would have been dead here, but no. We get the... if you guys had ever seen the Thomas Jane Punisher movie, where they go on and they pour all the gasoline on the pier, and the Punisher guy is going to have to go on... Frank Castle is like on the end of the pier, and we're thinking that he's going to explode because gasoline and fire, but instead he goes on Thomas Jane's character and he gets flung off the pier without like no burn, no fire, no nothing. He is completely unharmed. And I'm like, really? Like that's what you're going to do? So Jason Momoa goes flying, and because of the explosion, Dave just assumes that his brother is dead. So he's like, oh, well, I have to go on and just go through these flames and just figure out where my brother is to maybe hope that he's still alive. So, how is it that Dave knows to jump into the water from where his brother was? How does he know? So, Dave kasplooshes into the water. I say kasplooshes because I just want to be funny here. And immediately figures out where his brother is, pulls him out, and that's when we have the title, the thumbnail here, where they're hugging and they're smooching and they're like they're having their tender moment because they had fought before. Once Dave's character had brought up the whole mother thing, and that's when they just started to just freaking punch and hit one another. Of course, we can't have a Dave Bautista movie without Dave Bautista doing some kind of wrestling moves. And like, I'm not mad at it. Like, I'm like, yeah, Dave, give me some kind of wrestling move. I don't care what it is. I'm not saying like, hey, we need another Batista bomb. We need a no. Like, yeah, just give me the back slamming or the back slamming. Just give me like the side slam or whatever that move was. Just give me some stuff here and there. But when it was all that rain, and I could also tell him like, okay, it seems like they kind of put padding on the ground. But still, like I'm sure whenever they were hit on the ground, I'm sure it hurt like hell. But yeah, but they're fighting, and like Dave chucks Momoa and he hits that weird dirt hole that was like weirdly just kind of like carved the way he did. I'm like, man, that looked like it freaking sucked. And like they were rolling around in the mud and the dirt, and like I'm like, okay, whatever you guys just have to do in this film, like okay, all right. So cut back to like okay, after the brothers have both gotten out of the water and hugged it out and done this weird kind of goofy, well not goofy, because like they're like okay, hey, I care about you, you care about me, we're having this nice moment to wrap this movie up. So after we go on and get the reveal of the governor being the real bad guy, we then go on and after that have this kind of wrapping up of the movie. Momoa meets up with the guy who had gone on to carve into his neck, hey, you have 7 days. And Momoa kind of reveals the scar after this, hey, it's healing quickly, right? So the guy who had given him the scar, Momoa, in the early parts of the film, hands him the piece of paper, hey, this is who killed your mother. And it wasn't one of my guys, but I'll give you the name. So and then they walk off with basically just Genesis or Phil Collins, and he's playing that song, and they wrap up the movie that way, where Momoa puts the paper in the grill and burns it. Hopefully, he can remember what that name is, so he can use it in sequel film, which he never will, because there probably won't be a sequel to this. So, like, to me, I would not go on and just throw that paper away, because really, I would just be like, hey, I just want to make sure that I have this name, even though it's not going to matter because we're not going to have a sequel to this movie. But anyways, so Momoa reveals to Dave's character, and I haven't used any of their actor names whatsoever because I just couldn't be bothered. Dave's character name is James, and Jason's is Johnny. Either name means nothing to me, but like I just have to say that just to fill the void of like, hey, at least I said it once. So that goes on and wraps us to credit a film. And yeah, so that is like the nitty gritty details of this movie in a very severely condensed fashion. So this movie ends up coming down as just something to see. And there is nothing more profound that I could actually go on and say as far as a grading of this movie is. Like, I would not say that. I wouldn't say that this is a bad movie, but I wouldn't say it's something that needs to exist to where people need to go and really need to see it. It's just something that it's like, well, I got nothing better to do, so let's see this thing. That's probably this review, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, at least you may have gone on and seen the Wrecking Crew and just be like, yeah, this is like a nothing movie. So with that said, that's probably why this is as short as it is, because this movie was nothing. So it was nothing. So that's probably what I overall just felt about this movie. So with that said, let's go on and let's just wrap this bad boy up, surprisingly, within 26 minutes of time. So with that said, I'm going to get the heck out of here. Thank you for guys for checking this out, for watching this, because I think that's it. Like, I think that's all I have to say. So, bye everybody. Bye everybody.